The India stock market is exploding. It's anticipated within the next 3 years, it will be the fifth largest stock market in the world. And that's because there is tremendous movement from many U.S. companies such as Apple, Google, and Microsoft to build a presence in India. This is then spilled over, creating some opportunities to invest in individual India companies. In this video, I'm going to share with you who some of those companies are that you need to put on your watch list.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Between now and October the 31st, I'll be giving away $1,000 for you to buy stock. Moomoo is adding to my contribution with 15 stocks worth up to $2,000 each. Find the links in the description. I did a video a week ago when I discovered that Apple had built 3 plants in India to move their manufacturing of their iPhones from China to India because of the unrest in China and the fear that Tim Cook had that this whole thing could explode in China and he'd be left standing in the corner naked. So with that in mind, I decided I'd look a little bit deeper and find out, are there any other opportunities in India? And I learned a lot about their government. I learned about their governmental programs where they are actually doing what China did 40 years ago to make it attractive for U.S. manufacturers to come over and build their properties in India. So with that in mind, I went deeper and I said, what about the India stock market? And what I've discovered is the India stock market is exploding, and there are some companies in the United States that are available to us, much as Chinese companies are available to us. But unlike the Chinese companies who are breaking the rules of the Communist Party by listing on the U.S., by setting up shell companies in the Cayman Islands, the Indian companies or the Indian government is strongly behind these 10 Indian companies that I have found that I want to share with you. And what I've done is done some research on them, and I'm going to share that research with you on a PDF file, and there'll be a link in the description. But here is who they are. These are the 10 companies, and you'll notice they are a variety of things. There are 2 of them that are travel companies. There are 2 of them that are banks. And then there's some technology companies, and there's some companies who are partnering with other companies around the world to help them grow. Again, this is uncommon in China because of China's desire to keep everything in-house, in the communist realm, whereas India is much more adaptive to the U.S. ways. Why is India so hot? Well, first of all, it has a lot to do with they have cheap labor. They also have 800 million internet users, and they have 500 million smartphone users, and that's second only to China. So how am I investing in this market? Well, first of all, I'm about 60% cash, and then I'm pretty heavy shorting some positions. Here's a picture of the strategy that I'm employing at this point. Again, 60% cash. And then what I've done is basically put myself in a position where I'm shorting those elements that I think are susceptible. And that is basically the banks. I'm very fearful of what's going to happen in the banks. And I did a video just yesterday about how I think the nouveau rich, those people who made tremendous amounts of money off of Tesla and ARK Invest and Bitcoin have put our banks in a real precarious position. That is, they've gone out and they've borrowed money to build houses, to buy second homes, to buy yachts, to buy airplanes, you name it. And they're going to walk away from it. And the banks are going to be held holding their cryptocurrency that has lost 60% of its value. So I'm shorting the banks. I'm shorting China because, again, China is losing its hold. It's got a real estate crisis. It's got a financial crisis, and it's in an aggressive position against the United States. So I'm shorting that. And then the S&P and the QQQs I'm shorting. Then I think there's a position I'm holding in liquid natural gas and Occidental Petroleum, because I think this winter is going to put a lot of pressure on England and just general Europe for energy as it gets cold, and they got to buy their energy from Vladimir, and Vladimir is not anxious to sell it to them, so they're going to come to other sources. But no, all in all, cost of energy is going up. Then beyond that, I hold some small positions in VNM, which is an ETF on Vietnam, and INDA, which is an ETF on India. These are long-term investments. I believe that all of the negative things that are going to happen to China are going to spill over and push positive things onto Vietnam and India. We've talked about India. I've given you these 10 companies that I want you to dig deeper in. I also want to share with you the research that I have found on them through the PDF that I'm going to put in the description that you can get access to, because I think I keep going back to our markets are driven by events, and these events are coming faster than they ever have in the past. You've got the war in Ukraine, you've got the China situation, and now you have interest rates, and we're going to have some, I think, major increases in unemployment. So I want to be sitting on the sidelines for the most part, watching to see what's happening, but at the same time investing where I think the future is going to take me. And one of those things is India. It has to. We can't manufacture everything we want and need here in the United States and keep the labor costs down as a result of 3D printing and robotics. It just can't be done. So we're going to seek those places elsewhere. Eventually, I suspect it's going to have to go to Africa, but I'm not ready for that. I think India is stepping up and going to make a major play at this. So that's how I invest. That's how I pay attention to what's going on around me. And I think that is so important. Be aware that as the situation right now in China, they're having a 5-year meeting to determine their path for the next 5 years. You need to know what the decisions they make. One of the places you can come is here. Once I hear it, I'll tell you about it. And then come join our tribe. You need a community. This is too big of a game to play by yourself. And find a community, whether it's Best of Us Investors Tribe or somebody else who has some experience, has some knowledge, and has a clue as to what might happen next. I'll tell you tomorrow what I think might happen next.